Want dis ons land, dis ons taal, en sonder soek aan ons gaan stories haal. Waar we lewe in die duine, hooggebouw uit sand, die helde sier en die goue straat. Die landskap wat oor generasies vertel, die harte wat in ritme met die golwe val. Ons land, ons taal.
Hallo daar en welkom weer by nog 'n uitsending van Kletskompas. My naam is Augetto Graig en dit is 'n voorreg vir my om saam met julle hier te wees. Op vandag se program sal ek en my kollega Tanja Bause bietjie die nuus gesprek doen uit ons koerant Republikein en daarna sal ek ook 'n onderhoud voer met die adjunkdirekteur van kuns in die ministerie van onderwys, kuns en kultuur, dis Amagulu. Ons sal bietjie praat oor die stand van kuns in Namibië vandag. Bly by ons en geniet dit. Baie dankie. Sien julle nou net. Welkom terug. Ja, vandag se koerant is weer bietjie dikkerig en met my hier in die ateljee is Tanja Bause. Hallo Tanja.
Hallo, goeiemôre.
Goeiemôre. Gaan dit goed?
Ja, altyd in self.
Ja, nee, goed. En baie interessante dag wat weer begin het. Hier op die voorblad sien ek van hierdie honderde ton swaalsuur wat uitgestort het in die treinongeluk. Dis maar al te gedurig wat hierdie goeters gebeur.
Ja, maar dis die swaalsuur wat ek wonder wat die impak op die omgewing daarvan is.
Ja, blykbaar sê die kenners nou dit is nie so erg nie, maar
Ons sal maar sien, hè?
Ons sal maar moet sien, miskien sal daar net 'n oop kol wees daar op daai punt. En ek lees hier dat dit skaars 2 kilometer van waar 'n soortgelyke ongeluk laas jaar gebeur het.
Ja,
Kan jy-
tweede een, 'n groot een, hè?
En die hoeveelste een hierdie jaar. Ons sal maar moet bid vir Transname, maar kom ons lees bietjie verder. Dis ook voorspel dat dit gaan bibberkoud wees in die suide.
Ja, blykbaar, hè? En blykbaar ook 'n bietjie motreën en so voorspel. So die koue bly
Ja.
hierdie jaar. Dit is
Hy wil nie gaan nie.
nee.
Selfs my vrou het gesê hierdie winter wil net nie ophou nie.
Is dan nou Augustus en hy sit nog.
Is amper Augustus, nog nie mooi nie. Maar die weer verander beslis. Op die tweede bladsy is daar ietsiekie van die Biltongfees. sien jy uit?
Dis hierdie naweek, ja, né?
Ja.
Ja, altyd 'n groot geleentheid en dit was mos nou 2 jaar was dit nie gewees. So ja, kom ons gaan kyk bietjie.
Kom ons gaan eet bietjie biltong.
Jy weet.
Ja, ek dink hier op bladsy 3 is ook 'n baie interessante storie, net so hartseer oor die wild en veestropery wat so hand uitruk.
Ja,
Ja.
en daar's geen einde in sig.
Ja, kyk, die omstandighede raak net meer moeilik en mense raak net meer desperaat.
Ja.
So ons kan maar verwag dat daar meer sal wees, dink ek. En ek dink die boere wat nou al vooraf maatreëls trek en hulle se sekuriteit bietjie in plek stel, is miskien
Beter af.
beter af, ja. Ek het ook geskryf oor die koperdiefstal wat net so hand uitruk. Veral hier in Windhoek en baie interessant dat Telekom Namibië amnestie bied. As iemand daar 'n stuk koper het of sien, gaan handig dit maar in.
Ja.
Want as jy later betrap daarmee word, is dit 'n probleem.
Ja, dan is dit diefstal. Nou is dit
Nou
ek
is
het dit gekry.
Ja, ek het dit gevind. Ja, maar ek dink dis ook dieselfde dat mense is desperaat.
Ja.
Tanja, vertel ons oor hierdie have a heart bereik mylpaal van 15.000.
Die Haverhart is mos daai dierewelsynsorganisasie wat in die informele nedersettings in klein dorpies reg oor Namibië honde en katte regmaak vir mense wat lae of geen inkomste het nie. Daar is mos daai siening dat mense wat in 'n informele nedersetting bly nie vir hulle diere omgee, maar dit is nie. As jy 'n keuse moet maak van jou kind kos gee of jou hond, dis mos
Ja,
nie 'n keuse nie.
dis glad nie 'n keuse nie.
Maar
Ja.
as Haverhart opdag, hulle is in 62 dorpe was hulle nou al.
Sjoe.
En ja, verlede week hulle 15.000ste hond reggemaak. As hulle opdag, hulle sê van die oggend vroeg tot laat die aand staan mense met hulle honde en wag dat hulle reggemaak word, gehelp word. So dis 'n groot en die projek is volgende jaar 10 jaar oud.
10 jaar.
10 jaar.
Sjoe. En dit wys net as 'n mens omgee die verskil wat selfs 'n paar kan maak.
Dit is so, né?
Baie dankie Tanja. So daar het julle dit, soos julle sien, dis 'n lekker vol koerant. Daar is nog baie meer om te lees. En met dit hoop ek net dat die res van die dag ook so voorspoedig is, maar moenie eers weggaan nie. Nou net sal ons onderhoud doen met Nkareko Amagulu en uitvind oor die stand van kuns in Namibië. Baie dankie. Bly by ons. Welkom terug en met my op die bank is Amagulu. Sy is die adjunkdirekteur van kuns in die ministerie van onderwys, kuns en kultuur. Good morning, Mkariko.
Morning, Augetto.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Come, let's jump right in. What would you say is the state of art in Namibia at the moment?
I think the arts suffered quite a bit because of COVID, but I think we're starting to see a lot of pickups where we're starting to see more shows happening at the National Theatre of Namibia, the gallery, even just at private institutions and stuff. But obviously, just like with tourism, it's still kind of in the process of starting to get back on track.
Yeah.
So a lot of, I think artists suffered, especially during the COVID period. However, the ministry, if you remember correctly, put out a relief fund where artists could apply for funding during that period. Yes.
Did you manage to give anybody any money?
Yes, we actually did. We had more than 1,700 applications, I think, and a number of projects were supported with that. And the idea was really just to keep people creatively engaged.
Yeah.
And as well, and also just kind of, apart from being, also for them to investigate other ways of sharing their work.
Oh.
So we were looking at seeing how we can increase more digital footprint in terms of the arts, whether it's performing arts, whether it's your visual arts, and so you saw a lot of projects at the NTN, for instance, where the Arts Council might have supported for them to run certain projects to have digital material or content.
Yeah.
You saw that the gallery also had a project that was very digitally kind of run or managed as well.
Yeah.
So that's what we were trying to push so that people can kind of think out of the box. So it's been difficult. I think right now with the education system that has brought back the art subjects.
That's good.
Yeah, but that's like 3 years ago. There's been a bit
recent.
of a situation because you're having teachers who are not necessarily art teachers teaching. So the ministry is looking to see how we can support those teachers with the capacity building workshops, as well as using our arts extension officers to support them with the practical side of the art subjects.
Excellent.
I'm sure, I don't know if you've heard, but then the art subjects at grade 11 have also become promotional. So you have the arts and design subject as well as the performing arts subject, which wasn't the case previously. So so there are just a lot of things that we're looking at, because I think if we can really strengthen the arts in the formal education system, I think it's the only way that we can really build up a sustainable sector going forward.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I imagine that the efforts to go more digital is to expose our art to the world, to more people in the world.
Yes.
What would you say is our reputation, Namibian artists' reputation globally? How does the world see us?
That's actually very difficult, because the problem is that I think when it depends on what a person has to offer. And remember that in the global village that we live in now, you're competing against creatives from all over the world, and all using the same channels to get noticed. And so meaning that it really takes work. And if you look at people, musicians, for instance, that have been doing it on their own, like Lioness, for instance, they've really created some footprint on the global scene. So it's really about how active people are, and it's also about how much marketing they put into their work as well. Because remember, it's not just them going out there. I think another musician that I've seen really having a good footprint, and I think it will continue to grow, is somebody like Big Ben. But I think it's also because of the authenticity of his music. And it's something that one can carry over time. It's not something that you just have it in fashion and then it's gone.
There's an identity.
So meaning that we are still investigating on how do we make that footprint much more impressionable. Obviously, because it's also kind of new for everybody. You know, people were so used to just performing on stage, and and now we are saying you need put it on example, and then people are complaining about monetizing as well, which is a big issue.
Oh, yeah?
Because of the payment systems that we have in the country, which is not just for artists, but I think for all services.
Yeah.
That I think the government is currently working on trying to create those systems to make it easier.
Do they exist? I mean, apart from NASCAM, which isn't very effective, is there a system?
NASCAM actually, compared to a lot of other African countries, is doing very well, which I was actually pleasantly surprised. And I think right now they've also joined hands with another institution, I think in Brazil, where they are also checking now the digital footprint of Namibian musicians and paying over to NASCAM. So hopefully with better management and support from BIPA and the Ministry of Trade, we are going to probably see increases in the income that artists get from that.
That would be very good.
But I think the biggest issues is the payment systems. So people say that PayPal now is available in Namibia, but I think only through as one particular banking institution. But hopefully with the work that has to go into the, the trade policies, hopefully all those things will be ironed out to make it easier for people to monetize online.
Oh,
yeah.
That'll be a very good development.
Yes.
Tell us a bit more about what the ministry is busy with now. What's on your program for the next few months and till the end of the year even?
Okay. So first and foremost, I'm just going to say it. We have our Namibia Arts, Culture and Heritage Policy was approved by Parliament in December. So we are hoping to have it gazetted this year and then have an official launch of it. The policy pretty much outlines the areas that we need to look at. It's education, it's the creative industries, the status of the artists. You're looking also at how do we create more platforms out in the regions to really promote the arts in the regions. So that is one of the basically our guiding document now has been approved. And it already has the set interventions in terms of the things that we are looking at. Another one is to, like I've mentioned before, how do we support the arts education element in the formal school. So we are also coming in that with workshops for the teachers and then getting support for those teachers to help them in carrying out their functions in those schools. We are also looking to see, we are also looking at creating partnerships with tourism to see how do we create more sustainable income for artists. How do we get them involved in tourism so that there is something that is more ongoing in terms of, which is now the division that's dealing with creative industries is working on that. And then we are also still there working with BIPA in terms of supporting BIPA in terms of the Copyright Act. I know it is supposed to have been finalized.
Yes, and you guys have been talking about it
and
for
we've
some
been
time.
supporting. And we've been supporting the project for a while. So for us, it's also just to make sure that Act does go out and it does get revised and it gets approved, because then it will improve the income that is received by creatives and artists.
And secure the ownership of their art.
And also because it will be broader, because the old Act does not make provision for it doesn't make provision for the digital space. And remember that project was also funded by the UNESCO, EU. So we are concluding that at the moment. However, we are still going on with ensuring that that Copyright Act does get enacted and so that people can really protect their work and gain something from their work as well.
But we've also seen that the pace at which Parliament is able to work through acts has slowed considerably. Do you think that it has the priority that it might happen this year or at least in the next few years?
I don't think it's going to happen this year, to be honest. And because I did read that and I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, aren't we in trouble? But the and also I think also as arts together with culture, I also feel like we might be a little bit misplaced because we are not just about education. I think we are also about nation building. We are also
Yes.
about, and it's a lot more that we are supposed to be. I mean, there's a lot more. We have a bigger mandate than
Yes.
just the education side. So, and to be put in a ministry that is one of the most important
Yes.
ministries that serves a clientele of over 700, 800,000 kids.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it really diminishes, or it really takes away a lot of attention from us, and
Yes.
there's nothing we can do about it because that is the future.
Yes, yes.
You
But
see
I
what
see
I
you've,
mean?
you've
So
made
it's-
the best of
so
it, at least
we
getting
try.
more recognition of arts in the school system.
Yes, and
Yes.
that's important because
Yes.
how do you build the future audiences for arts?
Yes.
How do you build the future
Artists.
consumers,
Yeah.
the future artists, and all these things?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is the opportunity that we are looking at and looking at strengthening as well. And then also looking to see how we can possibly duplicate what they did with they created a sports policy to try and build up programs
Yeah.
in terms of sports in schools.
Yeah.
So we are also looking at creating something like that, but for arts and culture.
Excellent.
So that we have programs that help people who might be more creatively inclined or culturally inclined to have something that they can look forward to and build and develop in that as well. So
Excellent.
that they are not just thrown out and think that this doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
you said something so important earlier about how we're in a global village and we are competing against everybody.
Yeah.
And if we don't stand out, if our culture is not
Exactly.
evident and bright and shiny, you know, how are we going to differentiate ourselves from anybody else? How are we going to be competitive? You know, so culture is very important.
And exactly what just you saying that, you know, when you were asking about how does Namibia's footprint look in the global village,
Yeah.
and I was thinking, we need to be unique.
Yes.
And if we are not unique, we are just going to be put up against everybody who's copying and cutting and pasting. And I think that is one of the areas that we are really trying to leverage on, coming from the cultural aspect. How do we contemporize our cultural expressions
Yes.
so that it's uniquely, like you said, ours, and it's something that is distinguishable for Namibia.
Yes.
And those are the areas that we are looking at. What are the areas that we are looking at the College of the Arts and seeing how do we reform it
Yes.
to the point where it offers Namibian expressions,
Yes.
and how do we then develop contemporized, you know, have you seen the Rwandese traditional dance?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Do you know that they do it at schools?
Oh.
Right through, and they have a national ballet school just for that their traditional dances?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But you know, they are probably less diverse than we are. You know,
No,
that's
they
our
are, yeah,
problem.
they basically have one culture. But the thing is, in Namibia, it can be done too.
Uh-huh.
What is so wrong with Augetto's kid
Uh-huh.
coming to learn, let's say, the Kavango dance?
Yes.
You
there's
see what I
nothing
mean?
wrong with that.
And then going to the College of the Arts and getting those kids
Uh-huh.
to be the ones that perform at Independence or these national events.
Oh.
Why can't we do that?
We can do it.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and then
Kariko.
and you have a mixture of people,
Yeah.
that the diversity of Namibia all
Yes.
coming together in a collective to pronounce themselves in terms of this is us, this
Yeah.
is Namibia.
Ah.
Yeah,
Excellent,
and that's what
excellent.
we're looking at.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there.
Oh, okay.
Because we've run out of time. Baie dankie dat julle by ons aangesluit het en geluister het, en ek hoop daar was iets vir julle, vir al die kunsliefhebbers en die mense wat so trots is op ons kultuur, 'n bietjie insig en 'n bietjie inligting. Dan tot ek tot siens kom sê ek eers bly by ons is nou net weer terug.
Play. It's called Just Dreaming. And I think I'm going to play it, even though it's super chill. It's one of those things that occasionally we just got to play one of those songs. Here I sit watching and waiting while my time goes by, without a point or purpose or to know the reasons why I'm alive. There she sits watching the clock on the wall. It feels so
Dankie, ja, daar het julle dit nog uitsaai van Kletskompas wat ons vandag suksesvol voltooi het. En ek hoop dat die res van die dag en môre en die res van die week ook vir julle net so suksesvol sal wees. Baie dankie en ons sien julle weer môre. Totsiens.